Next up in the news, a really interesting clip I saw. I actually saw it on Pomp's podcast or his live stream. Canadian professor and YouTuber Jordan Peterson has been orange pilled. And it's kind of an interesting moment. Orange pill is that moment in time, because Bitcoin's, I guess, official color, like this week in startups and launches, is orange. And inside's my favorite color. It represents basically meaning you buy into Bitcoin and you're going to have laser eyes. If you take the blue pill, that means you like fiat money debt and you're blissfully ignorant. So let's roll the tape here from Jordan Peterson. If you don't know Jordan Peterson, he's somewhat controversial. He kind of got bundled with the alt-right professor who became famous because he got into an argument with some woke students. And he really seems to care about young males and has created a bit of a following with that Reddit incel young male crowd that is kind of feels like they are maybe hated or told they're bad and don't have a lot of, let's call it, guidance in the world. And this clip comes from an interview he did with Dr. Saifedean Ammous. Saifedean, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correct. Saifedean is the author of The Bitcoin Standard, the Decentralized Alternative to Central Banking, which was published in 2018. He's also a professor at Columbia University.
Yeah, to get electricity from the north of Ontario to Toronto needs a lot of wires, or you need to, if it was gas, you need to put it on tankers or on trains or in pipelines. All of that stuff is pretty expensive. But with Bitcoin, you just need an internet connection. You take the Bitcoin miners to where that energy is, and then you can monetize that energy and turn it into Bitcoin. It's magic.
So what's the net effect of that on the price of electricity worldwide? Is that deflationary with regards to electricity cost?
I think so. I think this is a point that I make in the fiat standard, which is that, we've had fiat subsidize all these dysfunctional forms of energy over the last 50 years that have led to the grid becoming unreliable. And we have Bitcoin, like the vigilante savior that it is, coming in and providing a global subsidy for anybody who can make electricity at a cheap rate to monetize that.
That's absolutely mind-boggling. It'll take me like 5 years to think that through. And it seems to completely contradict the idea that Bitcoin is a waste of the world's resources. It's the complete opposite if this monetization idea is actually true.
All right. So what you're having happen there is this epiphany with Jordan Peterson, which of course Bitcoin people are going to just, going to be like, yes, you understand it. What they're saying there is, it starts with this realization that, well, why would you set up $350,000 in mining rigs to mine Bitcoin to get $350,000 if you just go on Coinbase and buy it? You would have had to wait for the servers to come, set them up. So all things being equal, if you could buy $350,000 worth of servers and then turn it into $350,000 worth of Bitcoin eventually, let's assume you don't get the servers back after that. In this thought experiment, why wouldn't you just buy it? So it's like, of course I would. But then he says, wait, but if you can buy electricity cheaper, which we all know, nuclear, hydro, if you're stealing the energy like people were in authoritarian places, reportedly, like China, people would roll these things up to a hydro plant that was throwing off more energy than it could actually send through the cables. Or some people talk about with natural gas. Sometimes there's more, gas coming off of these pipes and gas refineries than can actually be used, but they still have to burn it. And so it's kind of wasted and they need to ship it somewhere. That excess energy can be turned into money. Okay, that we all understand. But the next piece is, wait a second. If I'm making energy and I can make money from it and I don't have to send it over a cable, well, that's an incredible thing. What that doesn't take into account is, should we do that? Should we do that? And the issue there is we shouldn't waste energy. In other words, we shouldn't build up production. Certainly if it was dirty energy, gas, coal, anything like that, we should not be making Bitcoin from dirty energy. I think everybody can agree with that. That's what's being left out of this. And the incentive, obviously, if you can make money and not bother building the cables to send it to somebody's home or a factory where it's needed, wow, we're destroying the environment. We're burning carbon and spewing, all kinds of horrible pollutants into the air, burning the ozone, creating global warming, and destroying the ecosystem just to make a quick buck. So that's the problem, is we haven't sort of put that in here, but let's play the next clip.
Why wouldn't they just buy Bitcoin? It seems to be a lot simpler than mining it. Then if it costs $350,000 to make $350,000, why bother with the mining?
The short answer is if you have a way of securing electricity at less than 5 cents per kilowatt hour, then you should get into Bitcoin mining business, which is, lower than most rates everywhere in the world. So if you have a source of energy that is isolated from the grid, or if you have a cheap way of securing energy, then mining Bitcoin is great.
So does that mean that Bitcoin is a very good way of moving resources from places that can produce electricity very cheaply to other places where electricity is more expensive? It makes the cheap electricity much more valuable.
Absolutely. This is
weird. That's a weird thing.
It's very weird. I think it's going to have a very profound impact on the global energy market, because for the first time in history, we have a way to sell energy that is location independent. A lot of places in the world have a lot of energy, but it's very expensive to get that to the population center. So the north of Canada has
So you don't need wires.
Exactly.
Jesus, that's weird.
The problem with this is I don't think it is true. We really do not want to incentivize people to not send the electricity to a city and instead just burn it to make Bitcoin, to make money, because again, we're burning natural resources to do it. The only time we would really want to do this is if it was a very low cost natural source of energy like hydro, wind, solar. Sure, why not monetize the excess there and then use it for those folks to then invest in more renewables. And that is the positive effect. So what should happen on a global basis is we should ban Bitcoin miners from using non-renewable sources of energy, perhaps, if this does become an acute issue. There's no way to know exactly what's the total footprint of the energy usage right now. I know some people have tried to make estimates about that. We really should think about either Bitcoin has to figure out a way to reorganize itself. In other words, do an update to use less energy. I think they've tried to do that over time, and maybe they have. Somebody can fact check me on that. Producers at thisweekinstartups.com. If we ever get something wrong, we'll correct ourselves. And we'd love to, get sources of good information. So if there is a source of how much energy is being used and the percentage of energy being used from non-renewable to renewables, we should just ban any Bitcoin miners from using coal, gas, oil, whatever is dirty, because that's not good for society. Bitcoin doesn't provide enough value for society to use that kind of non-renewables. Well, with renewables, hey, that's actually pretty awesome. And maybe this will drive the price down. If there is demand for energy and Bitcoin miners can figure out how to use solar, wind, and they put some of that money into actually creating energy sources, that's what I would love to see. If it is, in fact, the future of society, that energy equals money, which is kind of what we're saying here, well, then it would be pretty great for somebody to come up with a fusion reactor or a nuclear reactor or some, amazing new solar technology that was super cheap to build and that we could, in fact, turn into money that then could be put back into doing it. I think by the time this all gets hashed out, maybe Bitcoin will use less energy and we'll have renewable technology that will continue to lower the cost per gigawatt, whatever. So an interesting moment in time. I thought I'd share that clip. And again, I saw Pomp reacting to that person. So just give Pomp a little credit for surfacing for me. He's Anthony Pompliano's guest. He's 90% in Bitcoin. He's a maniac and he's a really interesting guy. And we're going to do a collaboration with my guy Pomp, where we stream to his audience on his YouTube channel and my audience on my YouTube channel. Hopefully the subscribers cross over and we share some audience together. That's kind of the idea. I did it with Justin Kahn. It was quite fun, actually, because we got his audience answering questions, my audience asking questions, and then we answer them together. When you are trying to grow a startup fast, hiring engineers will slow you down like nothing else. Don't I know it? So many companies I invest in are telling me they can't get their next version out because they don't have a great engineer. Well, Lemon.io will find you a perfect candidate in just 48 hours. It's a marketplace of engineers from Europe, and they test and interview every developer to eliminate the risk of a failed project. Lemon.io is the perfect solution if you are a technical co-founder and you need to delegate some of your important tasks, or you have a project that needs specific technology and you don't have that skill on your team yet, or you are just growing so fast that you need to add more developers and get more done faster. They'll match you with a candidate within 48 hours, and if it doesn't work out, they'll replace the developer right away. So here is your CTA, the old call to action. If you could use a full-time or even part-time developer to run your projects faster, go to lemon.io/twist. Once again, lemon, LEMON.io/twist. And you'll receive a 15% discount for the first 4 weeks of work with that amazing developer. Well done, Lemon. Okay, check it out, everybody. Lemon.io/twist.